Alright, once you have your basic story figured out, you've got your characters selected, whether you created them or downloaded them, you've got a scene ready to go, and you've got some basic movement already included, whether it be through position, keyframing, scaling, or even opacity, bringing things in and out. At this point, you're probably ready to add a little bit of actual movement to the puppet itself. It doesn't have to be drastic, it does not have to be major. Just something to consider would be a simple arm waving or mouth open and closing, maybe to match with some of the dialogue. You don't necessarily need to do all of the characters, and in fact, I would recommend against it because it can be very tedious in some cases. For today, I'm just going to show you how to do one simple movement. It's a character puppeteering. So I downloaded a well-known, very famous puppet from online here, and I've cut out the background in Photoshop. I did a pretty quick job. You can see some of the light is still showing through the hair. But for the sake of this tutorial, I just want you to know how to do puppeteering. In this case, I'm going to minimize the transformed window. We don't need to worry about the previous settings you've already gone through. And I'm just going to click on the Puppet Pin tool. I'm now going to program a couple of joints for this character to move on. So I'm going to program a shoulder joint over here and finger joint on this side here. On this one, I'll do a wrist and an elbow and also a shoulder. So what I'm doing is I'm actually creating little pivot points or access points where I'm now going to be able to take the puppet and move it around these joints. So once I've done that, I'm now going to go over to my selection, so my selection pointer, and I'm going to look at this puppet and say, how do I want it to actually move? The way I've programmed, or I'm going to program this one is, it's going to be a full arm movement, because I've got one joint up here and one down here where I'm going to grab. And this one looks like I could actually set up, or it could be a wrist, mostly a wrist movement or elbow down movement. The way to puppeteer, or the way to program puppeteering in After Effects, is quite simple in terms of overall movement. All I'm going to do is hold down the Command key. I'm going to make sure my timeline is at 0. I'm going to find an area I want to select and hold down the Command key. As soon as I click Command, I'm going to have a timeline that's going to start running. Okay, it's going to be running in real time. So let's start with the wave side. So let's go with the Command. I'm now going to grab this. I'm going to lift it up, and as you can see, the elbow joint is moving. All right. So I'm going to do that for about the first 4 seconds and let go. What you'll notice is all the keyframes were done automatically for us. All the keyframes are done right here. I'm not going to touch those at all. In fact, I'm going to minimize the puppeteering tool because I don't even want to know what's happening in there. You don't need to worry about it. All right. Now, timeline's back to 0 automatically. I'm going to do the exact same on the other side now. I'm going to hold down Command. The second I do that, it's going to show me the other side, what I did in real time. So I'm waving the full arm now. Full arm is going up and down, and I'm going to finish off around here. And these are all the keyframes. It has put vectors in automatically where needed, and it created 90-degree lines also where needed. All right? I could go in and adjust if I really wanted to, but there's no need to do that at all. Let's click out of our work area, and let's just see how those first initial puppeteering programming worked. We did each arm independently, so one arm was the full arm, the other was the wrist or the elbow and out. And as you can see, just to give you an example here, you can easily put, if I wanted to, the same amount of joints on both sides and have both arms flapping. If I had a bird, I could have the wings flapping, I could have someone waving. I could program the mouth to make the mouth open and close a little bit. So you could actually program speaking if you really wanted to. So this is a great way for you to bring in programming into an animation component. It's very simple to do for the most part. It can become challenging if you have several puppets, several different characters. So like I say, for the most part, rely on the initial ones, the transform settings, the position, having a character walk into frame, walk out of frame, maybe have a little bit of bounce going along. If you're actually going to do puppeteering, maybe only stick to 1 or 2 characters to keep it simple for yourself. All right? So one more time, puppeteering tool, go to the beginning of your timeline, make sure you've entered in a couple of joints that you want the character to move on, hold down Command, and as you do that, you'll see an outline appear of what you're moving. Once you let go of command, your timeline goes back to the start, and you can do the same on the opposite side. The benefit is it'll show you the first arm or the first puppeteering you did as you go. So it's very easy to sort of keep tabs on that. All right, that's all for today.